Hi, good afternoon. My name is Brian Masse, Member of Parliament for Windsor West, NDP critic for Innovation, Science and Technology, as well as Great Lakes and as well Canada-U.S. border relations. I'm joined here today by Lauren Lipkus and Rob Whalen, who will be speaking with regards to an issue on counterfeiting, and as well as Melissa and David as well too from Lipkus Law, who will also be present at the press conference here today, who have been working on this issue as well. But first, before I get going, I do want to do an land acknowledgement. I would like to begin by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is the traditional unceded territory of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe people. The Algonquin people have lived on this land since time immemorial. We are grateful to have the opportunity to be present in this territory. So we're here today to raise an issue that has been around for Parliament Hill for quite some number of years, but unfortunately hasn't found a resolution. It's related to counterfeiting and items that are coming into Canada that may seem on the surface for some people not to be very serious as an issue, and often they're also related to being items that might be handbags or sunglasses or other things that are counterfeited that are of concern, and people may not think they have consequences, but significantly more products are actually counterfeited and come into Canada on a regular basis. And in 2015, CBSA had an empowerment program, the Request for Assistance program, which was actually detaining and doing counterfeit goods, retaining at the border. We've seen a diminishment of that, and we'll see more evidence later on presented in front of us of that program. And that's costing Canadians not only with regards to safety, but also economic productivity. And it's also put us on the list of the United States of concern with regards to the products that are coming into Canada not doing our own part. In fact, we're one of the few nations that is on the actual United States Trade Representative Watch List and the only G7 country to do so. This is something we don't want to be part of, especially as we're trying to work with other relations with the United States on many other serious issues. This is one that we can take place. So we do have some solutions to this situation here. It's going to involve some legislation, but it's also going to involve a number of different things that we can do, and most importantly, as our CBSA officers, to get the proper training and supports for this program back on track. And I can tell you that the workers want to do this job. They want the training and education necessary, and they'll be able to protect Canadians from these dangerous products that are coming into their lives for not only just themselves and their businesses, but also into their homes. And it's unfortunate that this program has been neglected at this point in time, but at the same time, the infrastructure is there to actually change things and get things done properly. So I'm going to ask right now for Lauren Lipkus to speak. He is a former Canadian chair of the Anti-Counterfeiting Network. And then followed by Lauren will be Rob Whalen. He's the current chair of the Canadian Anti-Counterfeiting Network. Lauren Lipkus is also the co-founder of Lipkus Law, who has been active on this file for over 10 years here on the Hill, at least for my interaction. I want to thank him and his team because, again, they're here to help protect Canadians, not only in terms of the financial investment you make when you buy a product and expect it to be the product that you bought, but also the safety of the product for you and your family. Thank you very much.
Thank you for those comments. This year actually marks the 40th year that I've been dealing with counterfeit products being imported into, exported out of, or within Canada. And after looking at the statistics regarding our Canadian Request for Assistance Border Enforcement Program for 2024, I have never been more concerned about the flood of counterfeits coming into Canada. Unfortunately, no one person, no one partner can make a program like Canada's work. We are very fortunate in Canada to have border officers that are among the best in the world. However, without a strong mandate and some funding to allow officers to do their job, to detain counterfeit products that they know is being imported into Canada, we're going to continue to lag behind other G7 and industrialized countries around the world who have much more robust programs than ours. Other countries, notably many of the EU countries, the United States, Mexico, South America, as well as Pan-Pacific countries, have governments that put in place educational programs so that the public is aware of the danger of counterfeit products. Those same countries seize and destroy a comparatively much larger number of counterfeits, whether we measure by dollar value, number of items, or number of shipments seized or detained. The public seizure statistics of U.S. Customs and Border Protection and the EU indicate in the U.S. 20,000 to over 30,000 shipments per year over the past several years have been seized. And in the EU, they have seized over $2 billion in counterfeit products, representing over 86 million items detained at the border in 2022. The numbers keep increasing, and the danger to the public has been increasing as well. What about Canada? In 2024, in May of this year, across Canada's approximately 119 border crossings, CBSA made 6 interceptions. Not 60, not 600, 6. 10 in April, 25 in March, 28 in February, and 50 in January. You can see the trend. It is noteworthy also that 182 rights holders who had filed requests for assistance with Customs did not renew their filings. Anecdotally, I can tell you why. Because CBSA is not detaining counterfeit products bearing their intellectual properties, their trademarks and copyrights. Even though there's no government filing fee, and organizations like the CACN, the Canadian Anti-Counterfeiting Network, will assist a rights holder to file their trademarks and copyrights for free, there's a reluctance among brands to file them and to renew. Why is that? Why is it not worth it for them to renew it even when it's free? No government filing fee and no charge to actually file it. What does that say about our program? Anecdotally, it says that people around the world are fed up with the lack of action in Canada regarding the counterfeit problem. Why would they want to invest in Canada if they have to compete against counterfeiters who often do not pay tax, deal in an underground economy, support street gangs, organized crime, and other illicit activities? Anything and everything that can be copied is being counterfeited. Examples include Canadian consumers who are purchasing automotive parts that do not pass safety standards, are imported into Canada, and put on vehicles. When there's an accident, when others are thinking that perhaps it was driver error or weather or something like that, my first thought is whether the brakes or the spark plugs or the headlights or the ball bearings or other parts were counterfeit. I think that maybe the grills in the front of a vehicle aren't working with the collision avoidance system. Have counterfeits of these types been found in Canada? Yes. Are any of the shipments that we've been talking about in Canada included in the numbers of statistics of detentions by Customs? I suspect not. I am only aware of one detention in all of Canada of a small number of counterfeit airbags that do not work properly. Yet other countries have significant seizures of those products, all of which are available openly on the internet and are imported. Consumers turn to counterfeit medications without knowing that they can be and often are harmful, even deadly. There are cases of medical devices in hospitals around the world, but you don't hear about it in Canada. It's not because they don't exist. I have seen and been involved in cases involving substandard toys that our children are using in Canada that easily break apart or have toxic chemicals, and paint being used by infants and small children. I have been involved in cases with counterfeit makeup and other cosmetics that are supposed to be and are advertised as hypoallergenic and are not and can affect your breathing. I've been involved with counterfeit contact lenses, and if you can't get them out of your eye, sometimes they have to be surgically removed. I've been involved with counterfeit electrical products. And I could go on with more and more examples of the loss of revenue and the danger to the health and safety of consumers on all sorts of products, pretty much anything you can think of. But the fix is easier than most people think. Brands are available to help. They have in-house specialists, and they work with investigators who can quickly assist in identifying counterfeit products. They can provide information, suspected importers, and they can assist in many aspects of what Customs and police need to do to pursue these cases. But the brands are not the police. The rights holders are not the police. The copyright and trademark owners are not the police. The brands are not Customs. They don't sit at the border and prevent the importation of these products. They can't get search warrants, and they can't obtain the information that law enforcement can. In spite of that, they are doing what they can to stop this problem. we can do a lot more if we allow and empower our customs officers to do their job and to provide them with the resources and training to do so. Thank you.
Hello, again, I'm Rob Whalen, speaking to you with over 30 years of experience in the law enforcement community. As most people are unaware, the second largest source of income for criminal organization crime is the sale of counterfeit goods. This is estimated by the United Nations Office on Drug and Crime to be valued at well in excess of $250 billion a year. The involvement of criminal organized crime groups in the production and distribution of counterfeit goods has been observed by both international, federal, provincial, and municipal law enforcement agencies around the world. Groups such as traditional organized crime and outlaw motorcycle gangs, as well as terrorist organizations, have all joined the lucrative world of counterfeiting. They still continue to be active in crimes varying from drug dealing, human trafficking, extortion, online scams, and money laundering. However, counterfeit gives them a profit margin higher than drugs. I have seen it. In my years in law enforcement, my position at the Canadian Anti-Counterfeiting Network, I have seen these links grow. I observed that used to be a crime that was based upon the sale of counterfeit luxury goods and digital media grow to encompass all sectors of products. As a consumer, I find it hard to enter a retail store within Canada and not spot something counterfeit. This includes items that retailers have knowingly purchased, as well as products that have surreptitiously entered the supply chain. What is counterfeiting? You must have to follow the tides of legitimate retail industry. Let's have a look at some of the investigations I have assisted in or have spoken to other investigators. The recent rise in environmentally friendly vehicles has sparked a rise in home EV stations. Legitimate suppliers have not been able to keep up with the demand for these new high voltage systems. Hence, counterfeiters fill in the gaps, and non-approved counterfeit charging stations have been finding their way into Canadian homes. These have been located by electrical authorities across Canada. With the present conflicts going on in the world, the demand for military hardware has exponentially increased. Counterfeiters have filled the gaps with everything from fake personal protective equipment to fake military electronics to fake firearms. The recent rise in seizures of 3D printed guns can be related back to criminals using loopholes in legislation and the blatant theft of intellectual property to produce a product that is not legitimate. The most counterfeited firearm in the world is the AK-47 assault rifle. We are presently suffering through an opioid crisis across Canada. It has affected all of us at some level, be it directly through a relative or through crimes that tend to happen when a person is addicted. We use more opioids than what is produced legitimately. I believe we actually have a counterfeit opioid crisis. Counterfeit opioids has been seized by all law enforcement agencies across Canada. Recently, I've looked into cases where counterfeit medical instruments, counterfeit respirators, counterfeit medicines, and as we have all heard, counterfeit vaccines and vitamins. The recent auto theft crisis. Once your vehicle is stolen, the thieves reproduce your electronic keys and fobs using counterfeit keys that are easily obtained at aftermarket stores. Then your vehicle is resold and the new buyer is unaware they're buying a stolen vehicle. The recent stories regarding counterfeit aviation parts. Counterfeit avionics have been found in Canadian aircraft, including our own Canadian military aircraft. In closing, I'd like to say, if you were aware that the simple fake purse you wanted to buy was being produced by slave labor, or its money was going directly to terrorist groups, would you buy it? Let's look at it another way. Environmentally, it has been shown that in general, counterfeit goods last far less than legitimate goods. So once the fake item breaks, you just buy another one with the initial savings from buying the fake. When that breaks, you buy another one. When that one breaks, you buy another one. Where do these goods end up? In the landfill. If you want to protect the environment, stop the sale of counterfeits. Thank you.
Thank you, and I thank our guests here today for their work, for decades of work, and more importantly, this has been an issue that Parliament has not really addressed effectively. This summer, we will be drafting 2 major pieces of legislation to work on this, and as well, though, I want to encourage the government to take this opportunity to reinforce the CBSA supports necessary that we can have an immediate impact on. We know specifically that right now we are short 2,000 to 3,000 CBSA officers, and that's even before the Gordie Howe International Bridge in my riding will open up. And on top of that, we know specifically that 2 tranches of training being during COVID did not get done with our CBSA officers. And lastly, we know that our CBSA officers, once they've trained, are excellent in the field and are amongst the best, if not the best in the world. And so the encouragement is to actually continue this program and to enhance the program. And more importantly, it is a controllable that we have in the immediacy of Parliament as we work towards legislation that will allow for more information sharing and more opportunities to make sure counterfeiting is not taking advantage of Canadians. I want to conclude by saying thanks again to our participants here today. We will be having actually a meeting afterwards, and there will be up to 2 tables of counterfeit goods that will be on display that I think will surprise Canadians, because again, this is not about one particular item. This is about several different items that are making their way not only into businesses, but they're taking money from your pocket, and they're also putting you and your family at risk. So with that, I'm going to conclude and ask if there's any questions.
We'll start with questions in the room. And we have no questions in the room. I have no questions online.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Have a good day.